Well, Human Settlements Minister Mmamoloko Kubayi is hosting her Kenyan counterpart, Cabinet Secretary Alice Wahome. The two countries are in the process of implementing the memorandum of understanding on exploring new opportunities on collaborative human settlements delivery. The business sector has also been roped in to take part. SABC News reporter Khayelihle Khumalo joins us now. Khayelihle, a good morning to you. Big points on the agenda today.
Well, that's right, Naledi. As you know, that human settlement is quite important. And South Africa and Kenya, really, when you look at so many areas in the continent, they work together. So now it's about making sure that the two countries are learning from each other. But also, this is really emanating from that memorandum of understanding that was signed by the two presidents of South Africa, President Cyril Ramaphosa, alongside his Kenyan counterpart, President William Ruto. So essentially, it's all about making sure that housing is affordable. Also, what is very important about this particular visit is that the two countries really will have an opportunity to make sure that they get the business sector to be involved in making sure that they're also expediting what could be really just the roles that they can play in making sure that they facilitate what is quite important in this regard. As you know that the urbanization rate in Africa is growing rapidly. South Africa and Kenya, they are working together in terms of tackling these challenges in terms of the backlog. And as you know that you look at South Africa, the urban areas where quite a number of people are flocking to these urban areas. So there's quite a very enormous pressure that is facing the housing sector. So South Africa and Kenya, they say it's quite important for them to look at the collaborative efforts and looking at ways to improve this sector to make the housing affordable as well, because it's going to be a two-day affair, Naledi, for these two countries.
Yeah, what's quite interesting is, of course, the similarities in the challenges that we have, right? Particularly where urbanization is concerned. We've got urbanization, a big problem here in Gauteng. But let's talk about some of the similarities in those challenges. I think of Kibera, for instance, in Nairobi. Massive urbanization problem there as well.
Well, very much so, Naledi. And also, we do understand that during the course of the two-day engagement, the ministers will have an opportunity to go to the north of Johannesburg in areas like Diepsloot, but also to showcase some of the facilities that South Africa has created in terms of making housing an affordable space, especially because we know that with the harsh economic space, really, a lot of people are not affording their housing. And also, something that is very key in this regard is that the two ministers as well will engage, also just getting the private sector involved, especially because you look at the clarion call that was made by the two presidents in terms of making sure that the private sector is not left out. So it's fundamentally important for them to look at that. But also, you're quite right, Naledi, when you look at the similarities between South Africa and Kenya, you look at the southern tip of, right here in southern tip of Africa, South Africa's economic status, it's a gateway to Africa. But also when you look at Kenya as well, in East Africa, in terms of the economic realities, Kenya seems to be doing pretty well in terms of their own economy. But also, this is quite important for these two countries to learn from each other. So currently, the two ministers are engaging in a private dialogue. So during the course of the day, we're hoping to hear from them in terms of how will they leverage these sectors in terms of making sure that the human settlement really is livable, but also issues of security and also just the eradication of the slums. You cited Kibera, one of the biggest slums in Africa, but we do know that in Gauteng, for example, you do have areas like Alexandra where the renewal is long overdue. You do have the likes of Diepsloot as well, and many other areas as well across the country.